Hey, what's going on, Who Dat Nation? And welcome to another edition of the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. My name is TJ Jones. Thanks for checking out the podcast. I really do appreciate it. Well, Who Dat Nation, it wasn't pretty, but a win is a win.
Saints with some offensive momentum. Kamara hits the gas pedal and gets in.
That's right, the New Orleans Saints go into Bank of America Stadium and knock off the Carolina Panthers by a score of 12-9. The black and gold showed America that they can win an ugly game. After the game, Coach Sean Payton and quarterback Drew Brees spoke to the media about the New Orleans Saints' 12-9 victory over the Carolina Panthers.
You know, walking off the field just a little while ago, just felt like, man, there was tons of opportunities out there. You know, we killed ourselves on a few drives with just some stupid penalties. Felt like there were some missed opportunities. But listen, you know, bottom line is you go on the road in the division, especially Monday Night Football, against a team that has a ton to play for, right? They're still fighting for a playoff spot. And you know this is going to be a battle. And bottom line is, do you make the plays at the end of the game to win the game, right? Defensively, we did, absolutely. Offensively, we put together a couple nice drives to go down and get a touchdown, and really should have had points there at the end. You know, unfortunately, there was a critical mistake there, but you know, really put ourselves in position to win that game, go and win that game in the fourth quarter. Results-driven business, right?
Man, so many things went into that game. It was a good team win. Proud of our defense. I thought they were outstanding, and you know, it's tough to win a division game on the road, and we were able to do that.
Definitely wasn't the best game the New Orleans Saints played this season, but once again, they got the job done, and you have to focus on the defense. That's right, the defense. I never thought I'd see the day where the New Orleans Saints defense would be better than their offense, but you have to say that over the last couple weeks, ever since the Dallas Cowboys game, the New Orleans Saints defense has been a bright spot of the team. And I have to say to you, I'm not mad at that. Now, I understand that a lot of people were upset. They were asking a question, what is going on with the Saints offense? You look at Drew Brees' numbers, very un-Drew Brees-like. Drew Brees had 203 yards passing. He was 23 of 35, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. I have to say that interception was not his fault. Dan Arnold has to come down with that catch. But at the end of the day, it is not Drew Brees-like. You look at the running game. You have Alvin Kamara, 14 carries, 67 yards, 12 carries for Mark Ingram for 63 yards. I mean, the Saints generated over 150 yards of rushing between the two guys, including Taysom Hill in between. But I have to say to you all, if you are a New Orleans Saints fan and you are upset at this win, I have to say I'm very disappointed in you. I'm disappointed in you because you have become spoiled. You have become so spoiled that you expect for the Saints to score 45, 50 points a game, but in reality, that's not going to happen. I want you all to understand that this is the National Football League. Every single week, you are going to get the best of each team. Every single week, there is more and more game film on teams, which means that teams have more and more film on the New Orleans Saints. And not to mention that the Carolina Panthers is a division rival. So they understand the tendencies of the Saints players. The Saints are not going to keep scoring 30, 40 points a game, okay? You have to be able to win in different ways. And the New Orleans Saints showed against the Carolina Panthers that they can. The New Orleans Saints offense will not continue to be this bad. I just want to be honest with you. They will not continue to be this bad. Drew Brees is going to throw touchdowns. He just is, man, because that's what Drew Brees does. He throws touchdowns. But the New Orleans Saints offense, I must admit, they look terrible. They did. They look terrible. The wide receivers, man, you have to come down with some of those catches. You have to. I seen a catch that should have been made by Traquan Smith. I mean, Sean Payton got on him when he went back to the sidelines. I mean, you look at passes that should have been caught by Benjamin Watson. I mean, when he was going down the seam, he should have came down with that catch. The Saints wide receivers, they have to step up. Teams are starting to zero in on Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. They're starting to double team them because they do not respect the other wide receivers of the New Orleans Saints. They feel like they can get bullied, they can push them around, and they feel like they can make them a non-factor in the game. These guys have to step up. Keith Kirkwood, and late in the fourth quarter, I have to say he made a very clutch catch. That was a big play by him, but it is few and far in between. There has to be consistency at the wide receiver position outside of Michael Thomas. If there's not, the Saints are going to continue to struggle. They are going to continue to not generate any type of offense because teams are going to find out that all you have to do, once again, is double cover Michael Thomas, zero in on Alvin Kamara, and the Saints offense will not be the same. But once again, I have to say I did like this game from a defensive standpoint. The New Orleans Saints defense looks really, really good. I am really impressed at what I see from the New Orleans Saints defense. You look at players like Cam Jordan and Marcus Davenport, Sheldon Rankins. Then you look at the linebackers, Demario Davis, who is by far one of the best free agents the New Orleans Saints ever had. He probably the best since Jonathan Velma at the linebacker position that they picked up. This guy just is a tackling machine. He can zero in on the running back. Some of the plays that he made against Christian McCaffrey, when Christian McCaffrey, I can think of a couple plays where Christian McCaffrey could have got to the outside, Demario Davis was right there. He could have cut in on the inside, but Demario Davis was there. And not to mention the fourth down play to seal the game for the Saints. The Saints brought pressure, and Demario Davis was right there. I mean, honestly, a great pickup. And then the secondary, outstanding job. I know we rode this guy for a while, Eli Apple, but it seems as if he has found his groove. I was happy when I seen that the New Orleans Saints put him on Devin Funchess. I said this on a prediction show. I said they need to put Marshawn Lattimore on D-Day Moore and put Eli Apple on Devin Funchess because Eli Apple is a press corner. He has to get close to the wide receiver. He has to play man, and you've seen how that benefits the New Orleans Saints secondary as well as Eli Apple. And then you have to focus in on the player of the game on defense. In my opinion, it was Von Bell. Von Bell had a sack, a forced fumble, and a pass breakup. I must say that this was the best game Von Bell has ever played in the Saints uniform. Despite the Saints' offensive woes, the defense answered the call, and you need a defense. You need a defense going into the postseason because teams are going to be playing their best football in the postseason. So sometimes you have to rely on your defense. Now, I did crack a joke, and I said, wouldn't it be sad that the New Orleans Saints spent all those years being great offensively, putting up all those points, and the defense couldn't stop a nosebleed? Wouldn't it be sad that the Saints lose a playoff game, get knocked out of the playoffs because of their offense? That would be unbelievable. That they would spend all that time trying to fix this defense. They finally get it to where it needs to be, and it's the offense fault. Man, that would be crazy. But I have to say the play calling in this game wasn't really good. I feel like they should have ran the ball a little bit more. Mark Ingram in the first half was running like a man possessed. He was averaging 5 yards a carry. I feel like Mark Ingram even knew that he needed the football in his hands late in the game because there was one play when he ran the ball up the middle and he got taken out of the game, and he looked to the sideline. He started cursing because he felt like he had the hot hand. And I have to agree with him. Mark Ingram, every time he was running the ball, he was running the ball violent. he was being physical. I mean, some of the plays that he was making, like one play where he lowered the boom on Eric Reed and knocked Eric Reed over. I seen Mark Ingram make a cut back to the inside. I mean, Mark Ingram was running really well, and he's been running violent. I think the Saints need to rely on him a little bit more. I feel like Sean Payton gets too pass happy. He wants to throw the ball all over the place, and they are not that team anymore. I keep saying that. They are not that team anymore. They're not the team that can go out there and throw the ball all over the place like they used to. The Saints need to start running the football to set up the play action. The Saints were doing play action against the Carolina Panthers, and the Carolina Panthers weren't even biting. They weren't biting on no play action because they knew that the Saints were trying to throw the football. Look, I understand Sean Payton wants Drew Brees to be MVP. I want Drew Brees to be MVP. But this is not the same Saints of old. It is not. They are a team that relies on the run to get it done. That needs to be a shirt. They rely on the run to get it done. But the New Orleans Saints did get it done once again by a score of 12-9. They moved to 12-2. They take a one-game lead in the NFC for the #1 seed, and all they have to do now is win one of the last two games, and they will get home field advantage throughout of the playoffs. And they should, because the last two games are home games. And I feel like the New Orleans Saints need a home game. It seems like it's been forever since the last time they played a home game. I mean, they had a 3-game road stretch, and honestly, the New Orleans Saints, woo, man, they need to get home in that dome to get that home crowd going and get re-energized, because they look stagnant on offense. They look like they were a little bit out of it in some of these games, man. So hopefully they can get home to the Superdome and get back to being that offense that we know they can be. The next game, the New Orleans Saints will be taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are coming off a big win against the New England Patriots. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Check out the State of the Saints podcast on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, search the State of the Saints podcast. And also check out the State of the Saints podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.com. Till next time, all I have to say is, who dat?